Kia ora te whānau, I'm Hana from the Salvation Army, bringing today's devotion to you from Matthew chapter 22, verses 39 to 40. A second is equally important. Love your neighbour as yourself. The entire law and all the demands of the prophets are based on these two commandments. The first commandment was about loving God. The second commandment here is about loving others. A natural outworking of loving God, therefore, is loving others. In 1910, one of the founders of the Salvation Army, General William Booth, wanted to send a word of encouragement to a convention of Salvationists, knowing he was not going to be able to attend the gathering in person or on Zoom. On a very tight budget that year and conscious of paying for every single letter of the telegram, he chose just one word to convey the purpose of mission and ministry that came from a love for God. The word he chose was others. In the chaos and conflict that we are constantly being confronted with in these days, in our homes, in our schools, our churches, our communities, and right across the world, it may be tempting to try and put a limit on who others should include. Especially when we're tired, stretched, and busy, how can we possibly respond to everything that is going on? In Luke 10, Jesus shares the parable of the Good Samaritan, tied to this understanding of who we should consider our neighbour to be. The surprise and perhaps even the scandal is that the man who was robbed and wounded in that story was eventually helped by someone who was actually quite the way down the social pecking order. It wasn't the priest or the Levite, but a lowly Samaritan who expressed the love of God. We see the crossing paths of two people who maybe weren't usually in close proximity to each other, but who became part of each other's story as aroha is shared from one to another. In the story of Aotearoa, we are both tangata whenua, people of the land, and tangata tiriti, people for whom Aotearoa is home by way of te tiriti o Waitangi. In our proximity to one another under that spiritual covenant, Jesus' call to loving one another is part of expressing our love for God. I believe we're in a season right now where, in the midst of chaos and conflict in some of the most unexpected places and by some of the most unexpected people, the love of God is flowing. So let's be willing to join in with that flow. Mauri ora.